My life wouldn't have get better if I keep treading on the general path of life. Sometimes we always think that we want a better life, but we don't actually act to achieve that better life. It is one thing to wish for something, it is another thing to work towards achieving that thing. And I figure that if you really want to build a life you are intentional about, you need to make that thought your goal. And subsequently, I started setting different goals for myself. And eventually, I can confidently say my life is so much better setting these goals. Most people set goals only around money or achievement. They set goal around, I want to have this amount of money, I want to achieve this amount of success. But the truth is, the right goals are not just about success. They are becoming the woman who can handle that success. We feel we want to have this type of man in our life. But individually, personally, do you think you are a woman that would attract that type of man? Do you think you're a woman that would attract that kind of money? Do you think you're a woman that will attract that kind of success? We always try to do the external work, forgetting the internal work. And that is why in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the real goals you must set for yourself. And if you truly want to get better in life, not just on paper, not just on fantasy or holding on to somebody else's thought, but in terms of your own self growth, your mindset, your discipline, your relationship, and how you can actually achieve that inner peace. On this channel, I talk about transformation, growth, self development, improvement for women that are intentional about their life. And if you feel it is something you're interested in, subscribe to the channel and join the community. And I also have a Telegram community where I share transformation guides on how you can actually become better. So let's get straight to the video. The first thing I want you to understand is the purpose of setting goal. And I think subsequently I'm going to be making a video on the paradox of goal setting. And it's going to be a little extension here. When you set a goal, they are not just targets. They are not just, oh, this is the picture, the snapshot I have about the kind of life or the kind of person I want to become. But it gives you a direction. You know that sometimes when we set goal, we eventually realize that that goal we are setting for ourselves is not what we are actually achieving. That is because goal is not actually a target, but it gives us a kind of direction to achieve our ideal goal. The goal we set for ourselves might not actually be our ideal picture, but while navigating on the path of achieving that goal takes us to that ideal picture. So, goal is not just a destination, it is a journey on its own. And also, when you don't set goals, you drift through life reacting instead of creating. And I think this is one thing every woman needs to understand. When you don't have an ideal picture, and I talked about this in one of my books that contains philosophical concept, which is the cycle of life. I am still working on it presently. That is, for every individual, we need to have a good picture, an ideal picture of where we want to be. When you don't have that picture, you just keep walking in life with mindless intention and purposes. The difference is that when you have something you are actually working towards, it gives your life a meaning, it gives it a direction, it gives you as an individual a purpose. But imagine somebody living life. I don't know why I'm not achieving success. I don't know why I am not getting the job. But that job you are actually aspiring to get, why do you actually want to get the job? When you make money from the job every month, what do you want to do with the money? The job and the money you are making, How does the two connect to your growth as an individual? Some of us want money, we want wealth, we want fortune for reasons that are not even genuine. And we keep questioning life why we are not achieving those things. So you not setting goal is just like you're going to be drifting through life, reacting, instead of you creating something purposeful with your life. And also, setting goals gives you clarity and focus and also accountability of the way you are living your life. And I think this is one thing I don't joke with. For every year, I always set a main goal. Three sections: my career, which is also intertwined to my finance, my health, and also my family, which is also intertwined to my relationship. For each 3 goals rather, for my career and finances, by the end of 2025, I want to have learned the basics of owning a transformation business or a coaching business, which Alhamdulillah, I already have the basics now and I am working from the basics. And in terms of my finances, by 2025, I want to have a stabilized job which gives me up to 150,000 naira in a month. That might be so small for somebody else. Now I don't have up to 150,000 in a month, but I have over 120,000 naira coming into my pocket every month. So that gave me a kind of focus that this is what I'm pursuing. And also for my health. I figured that for my health, I've not been taking things seriously, but I've set the goal for 2026. For my health, I want to eat healthy, not just eating. I want to eat healthy. Every day, I need to take veggies and fruits. And every week, my food needs to have a timeline and a timetable. For 2025, for my relationship and family, I gave myself the target that there is no relationship with any man until I am able to get my business stabilized. And any man that is coming into my life, if such man does not respect my journey, does not respect my being, he is a no no. And for my children, I'm going to be clearing all their bills for their school and getting them all the necessary things and spending at least one day with them every week to connect and bond. I was able to clear their school fees. I was able to clear everything. In fact, my boy that is having his birthday next week, I already bought the things he's going to be using. But regards to spending a day with them, I am still struggling because my activity and my settlement relaxation is still not helping me. So because of that, I am still battling with that. But setting the whole of those three nations gave me a focus. It gave me a clarity, a kind of purpose driven lifestyle. And whatever I am doing, I am accountable for it. I am not able to achieve this. Why did that happen? I could have achieved this. Or why did that happen? It's not a mistake, it's a lesson. Then what lesson have I learned from that? Instead of drifting through life aimlessly, sometimes the best thing we can actually do for ourselves is to set a goal and be intentional about it. But goals must come from who we want. Because the mistake most of us usually make is that we are setting goals based on impulse expectations. Now, impulse is one, expectation is the other. Means I am really drawn to do this thing because somebody else has achieved this. And this lady is living in my dream. This guy broke up with me because I could not become this. And I'm going to work towards becoming that. No. Expectation, maybe because of your family or your relationship or your marriage or your sibling. They all have so much pressure on you that has forced you to do something. That is not an ideal goal. An ideal goal should be something that is coming from who you want to become. Who am I? Intentionally. I read this book by Joyce Daniel. She made mention of living your best life. Your best life starts from here. Your best life is the life you actually want to live in, not the one somebody is dictating to you to live inside. So when you're setting a goal, they would give you direction. it gives you a vision, it gives you purpose, and it needs to be something that it is the key factor that initiates the kind of person you actually want to become. Don't set goal for the woman you are. Set goal for the woman you want to be, because the woman you are presently might not even have the general overview of what life is about. But when you remove that, the woman you really want to be, what does she dress like? What does she look like? How does she eat? What kind of home does she live in? Then you set goal for the woman you want to be. And now I'm going to be listing out the goals you should actually set for yourself that have helped me so far to become a better version of myself. The first one is the goal of self mastery. And before career or financial goal, you need self control and emotional balance. You see, when it comes to becoming a feminine woman, not operating from your masculine energy, because every woman carries a masculine energy. One needs to come out when it is necessary, and one needs to dominate the other. You are only meant to explore or express your masculine energy when the situation is speaking so hard to you. But ideally, as women, we want to portray our feminine energy. And by so doing, you need to have a lot of self control and emotional balance. You need to learn how to control yourself as needs me in terms of your relationship, in terms of your finance, in terms of your mentals, in terms of your physical appearance. Every control you have in this aspect goes a long way. The reason why some of us are not achieving much in life is because we still keep going back to the relationship that does not add to our growth because we lack emotional control. We keep saying yes to relationship that does not add to our growth because we lack self-control. We keep attracting toxic relationship because we don't even understand what self-mastery is. Learning to manage your emotions, your reactions, your habits, that is the foundation of growth. Your yes, can it remain yes? Your no, can it remain no? Whenever you want to take a decision, are you decisive or undecisive? Are you the one that is always waiting for the influence of the other before you say yes, or before you say no, or before you take up any decision? You need to understand that self mastery is the foundation of every success. Because whatever you achieve when you don't have self mastery, it will feel unstable. You are uncertain of the kind of relationship you want to have. You're uncertain of how you are going to be responding when somebody talks back at you. You're not even sure of how you perceive another person to be living in the life you actually want right under your nose. The first goal is to practice or to learn the goal of self mastery. And how do you actually practice it? You can start the morning with structure. Plan your day. Don't just rush it. I notice there are so many women out there that for each day, they just wake up on autopilot. They don't even rethink or readdress or readjust what needs to be done on daily basis. So you need to practice delayed responses. You don't just react, you respond. You pause before reacting. You pause before responding. And when you are reacting, it shows you're operating from the victim mindset. But when you are responding, you're operating from the hero mindset. Then learn to sit with discomfort. Not everybody will understand and acknowledge your efforts. Not everybody will see the beauty of your beauty. Not everybody will see the beauty in your existence. So you need to learn to sit down with discomfort and understand that people are only talking based on their own perspective, and people's opinion of you is just a perspective. The hardest person you will ever lead is yourself. So master her first. Master your emotion, master your control, and master yourself. The second goal, which is very important that I've seen most of women toy with, that is really, really crucial to building them for the woman they would have actually wanted to be, is the goal of healing and wholeness. You can't build a new life with broken foundation. Something needs to be reconstructed. Something needs to be rearranged for the other things to follow. So many of us are carrying the pain, the guilt, and the chaos within us of the kind of life we would have actually preferred based on the influence of somebody. And that has created a kind of lasting effect on us. We are operating from the angle of pain, from the angle of toxic, toxic reflection and feedback from people, and we have refused to address that part of us. And I mentioned in my previous video that is how you can actually reprogram your mind to live a better life. Sometimes or most times, the things we have in our mind determines our reality. And our reality can only change with a changed mind. So healing should be a life goal. And it is not just a phase because every phase of our life, we are bound to come across different situations, different people that will remind us of where we are coming from, that will still remind us of where we feel we have left behind. But the reality is that it is a goal on its own to heal and become a whole again. Learn to forgive. Let it go. I think this woman, Joyce Daniel, she's one of the good speaker in Nigeria. She mentioned something that healing is not for them. Healing is for you. It is a mirror for you to remind yourself that you deserve freedom. And I held on to that. And someday I'm going to be making a video on free guides that has actually helped me to become a better version of myself. Sometimes that growth you're looking for does not have to cost a fortune. You can achieve a whole lot right from where you are. A healed woman needs to find peace from her past. A grown woman, a successful woman, will find peace and make peace from her past. Because if you don't let go of that part of you, you will continue to be controlled. And the life you think you're aspiring for will keep taking you back to where you think you have left. That is because you have not learned to heal and become whole again. And also, when you are able to heal and become a whole, you make better decisions, not from the point of where you were coming from, but because you understand that where you are going is more important than where you are coming from. And by so doing, you attract peace and you live with purpose. And sometimes we might be chasing gold just to escape pain because our ex boyfriend said something about us. And because of that, I'm joining this community so I can be like this. And I think I've mentioned that a couple of times that you don't just make goals based on impulse, you make goals you are intentional about. And sometimes it can be by this time next year, I want emotional peace to be my default. And I also want to live out of the fact that I am choosing to have a peaceful life. And the third goal, which is very important, is the goal of consistency. You see, most people don't fail because they don't have talent, but because they don't have that consistency habits. When you are pursuing a dream, you want to become better, you want to do something better, you want to live better. You need to be consistent with it. And I think I usually say this over and over again in my videos that there are three crucial things you need to incorporate whenever you are doing anything in life. The first one is understand that whatever you are doing will take time. Now, the amount of time it will take is not in your power, but the only thing within your power is how much effort you are willing to put, and that is consistency. If you're not consistent with your habits, it will take so much longer and you might not even be achieving that thing. And that is because there are going to be detours and setbacks. You see, these three notions, when you understand them, you can become better and at your very best in anything you do. So the key to growth is small daily actions done repeatedly. You want to achieve something. What are you doing on daily basis to achieve that thing? You want to live this life. What are you doing daily to live that life? You want to become this person. What are you doing daily that will take you to that goal? Consistency builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. So set fewer goals, but stay committed. Create a weekly routine. Track your habits. When motivation fades, rely on discipline because you are actually consistent. I can tell the amount of goals I've set for myself and the ones I'm able to achieve out of consistency. I wouldn't be here if I've not been consistent because I have failed multiple times to record this video. And today, I've told myself several before I even get here that today is going to be different, and it has been happening differently. Consistency is not perfection, it is showing up even on the hard days. Even when I was not feeling fine, I was not even feeling like it. I still try. Some days you fail, some days you slide, some days you just slip into old habits, but you have to return, and that is where the recommitment comes in. And the next goal, which is very important, that plays crucial aspect in our life, especially women, is the goal of healthy relationship. You see, our life is so funny that the kind of people we keep in our community or that we keep close to us creates a lasting effect on the kind of woman we become. I have seen so many women become successful out of the fact that they have chosen differently to be with somebody different. I have also seen some women become the worst and become the shadow of themselves out of choosing the wrong relationship. And I've seen women become better out of letting go of the relationship that does not serve them. And I've also seen women become worse out of relationship, stay in a relationship that drains them. You know, when you surround yourself with positive driven people, there is this ripple effect that happens in your life. Who you surround yourself with determines how far you will grow. Build connections that feed your peace, not chaos. You know, sometimes we meet with people and automatically we feel so drawn to them that we want to have more of them. We eventually realize that these people are not actually good for us. And sometimes we meet with people and we just feel so stagnant to even get attached to them. We eventually realize that they are actually the best for us. That is because you deserve the love that aligns with your healing. Every friendship you keep, everything respects your growth, and every decision you take should also be a factor of the kind of relationship you keep. Build boundaries. Learn to say no with peace. That's it. Let people know what you are up to as regards to your choices. No for this, yes for this. Keep people who inspire you, your community, your social media pages, your workplace, your environment, your house. Everything should mark the bell of healthy relationship. And when you feel that some of these things are not actually working, do not hesitate to say no. Let go of guilt driven relationship that will be keeping you stuck like you're making wrong choices or you're supposed to be in charge of your life. Because not everyone deserves a seat in your next chapter. It is your story, it is your life. So not everybody deserves a seat. And also, the goal of financial and life stability. If somebody would ask me at this point of my life, what is that goal I am holding on so tight to? That is financial stability. Because money might not be the most important thing, but it affects everything that is important. And I heard that from Kim Kiyosaki. That is the wife of the author, I think Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote on Rich Dad Poor Dad. Money might not be the most important thing, but it affects everything that is important. Money might be a factor why you decide to take up a relationship that does not serve you. Money can be a factor why you have decided to stay in an abusive relationship. Money might be a factor why you are still eating, why you are still making some choices. If you own financial peace, it brings freedom. and you live intentionally. You live with clarity. You live outside chaos because you know it's not about the money. I have so much within me that I can use. So why should I bother about this thing? You know, sometimes when you're operating from that relaxation mind, you feel at ease to make some decisions. But when money is the problem, there will be greater problem to address. Your money goal should reflect your value, not just the word pressure. And I think I've seen so many women operate from the point of the society or my friend or my community. It should not be coming from pressure, but the kind of values you want within yourself, the kind of life you would have actually preferred to have. And even become you begin to gain that financial freedom, learn to manage what you have. You know, I see some women spend more than their income, and that is because they are always chasing things that are not even required for their growth. We have liabilities and we also have assets. Liabilities are the things that take money away from you, while assets are the things that would always give you things in return. And I think I talked about this in one post I wrote. That is things women should invest in, and that is a knowledge. Your knowledge is an asset that you can continue to tap into over and over again that would give you good return in your life. So most times you need to learn to manage what you have and don't just intoxify your life with things that are not important. You might actually want that bag, but is that bag contributing to your growth presently? Or the kind of people you are mingling with is affecting your choices? Sometimes the relationship, the people we keep are actually affecting our financial stability. And some of us are so nonchalant not to address the elephant in the room. How do you do this? Budget your income monthly. Every single penny you are earning goes to a particular bucket. And what bucket? Is it for your business or your house, your rent, or your health or your career or whichever aspect? And also save something consistently, no matter how, even if it is something small, a penny. You'll be so surprised how much 500 naira would do in a year. You'll be surprised how much 3,000, 2,000 naira would do in a month. And that is because when you save consistently, it eventually accumulates. And I think one thing I will always say is that when you save, you should also invest because it creates a compound result. And also invest in learning. Because sometimes what we don't know might be a barrier to our growth because we have chosen not to allow ourselves to explore the beauty of what could happen. Sometimes or most times, invest in learning, mindset, digital skills, and business knowledge. This is how you can actually become better. Stability is not about having millions, it is about knowing you can sustain your peace, knowing that within you, you have more than enough to contain yourself. And the goal of growth and learning. This is one thing I don't ever joke with in my life. When it comes to individual, learning goes beyond the four walls of a classroom. Learning goes beyond having a certificate of qualification for a particular field. Learning happens every day in our lives. And when you stop learning, you stop growing. Growth should be a lifelong pursuit. And when you read more, you learn new skills, you take courses, it keeps your mind alive and confident high. And I learned this by actually reading a lot of free resources and free, which I'm going to be making the video on it, free guides that has helped me become better. Even as I'm sitting at the end of today, I already have a lot of things I want to look into because the more you learn, the clearer your life becomes. And you begin to tap into the idea of those that have walked through the process. It keeps your mind alive and your mind and your confidence high. Every version of you will need new knowledge to sustain her. And I think I understood that at the long run. That as you're walking through each stage, each phase of your life, for every phase, you need new knowledge to approach it. You can't tell me the knowledge you have 10 years ago is the only thing you're using to operate now. You'll be so surprised by that next month, what will be happening to you? It might be something you have not even learned at all that you will need to go back and reflect on properly. That is because when you read more, you inculcate the habit of learning. You learn emotional intelligence, tapping into the idea, the concept of others. And also, you begin to study self awareness because so many of these things I was able to learn and inculcate when I started navigating and decided that I want to take ownership of my life. And also, you also learn how to communicate better and make people understand your choices. Then you learn a side skill that can even earn you more income. And I was able to understand this when I went on social media. I was able to bump on a lot of books, monetize them, which is even part of what I'm doing now. Because what we know within us can actually be a factor to our growth or our death, in fact. But by learning and pursuing the goal of continuous learning and improvement allows you to explore the mind of those that have actually walked the path. Don't just chase success. Study the woman who can sustain it. And the very last goal on my list is the goal of inner peace and purpose. And I think this is one thing I don't ever joke with in my life. Every single aspect of my being have a purpose. No, the ultimate goal is not more things, it is more peace. Because at the end of the day, what place do I want to sit in? What position do I want to be? What kind of environment, what kind of atmosphere do I want to breathe in? What kind of reflection, perception do I want to have about myself? At the end of achieving everything, I want to live in alignment. I want to live in purpose. I want to live in peace. It can be in terms of your spirituality, your emotional pattern, your lifestyle. Make sure they make you feel calm. The relationship you are choosing, do you find peace and purpose? The work you are doing, do you find peace and purpose? You know, the career you are pursuing, do you find peace and purpose? The children you are having, do you find peace and purpose? The house you are living, do you have that inner peace and purpose? Live in alignment. It is one thing to want something, it is another thing to actually be in alignment. And when you fall out of alignment, you are going to be having guilt. And you can just ask yourself, does my current life make my heart feel safe in every area of your life? Does do they make you feel safe? So you can actually practice by having a daily quiet moment, even 10 minutes in stillness, and you begin to ask yourself and connect with your inner self. The life I am having now, do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel there is something more that needs to be done? What kind of person do I want to be? And amidst all this chaos, how can I actually find my peace? The right goals don't just change your results, they change you entirely. And you don't need to do everything. Start with one goal that helps you become a better version of yourself. And as for me, I started with the goal of inner peace and purpose because I told myself, whatever I am doing, I want to feel at peace and I want them to be intentional. That gives me purpose. Then I continue with the goal of self mastery. I want to know myself better. Then I also continue with the goal of financial independency. And of course, that is where I am now. So you can ask yourself, which goal am I willing to set for myself now that will create a massive difference in my life? If this sounds like what you're interested in, on weekly basis, I post transformational content like this. You can join the community. It's a home for hope. Until I see you in my next one. Bye.